Hello everybody, my name is Peter. Welcome back to the Full Send Academy, the channel where I show you how to generate enough passive income to quit your job and then do what you want with your life, whether that's travel more, spend more time with your family, whatever that may be. So I'm coming to you live from the east side of Indianapolis in the Sheraton Keystone, where I'm on my way back to Atlanta from Minnesota. And in the last video, I talked about how I used two and only two houses to be able to generate a full-time income and travel around and do all this stuff. So by stuff, I mean, for example, last week when I filmed in Minneapolis, I went to a Seven Lions show that weekend. The previous Wednesday, I was in Milwaukee for a Slipknot concert. On the Monday before that, I was in downtown Cincinnati for Monday Night Raw. And the weekend before that, I was in Legend Valley for Lost Lands Music Festival. So I'm able to do all that kind of stuff just on two houses. And after I released a video, one of my friends texted me and said, well, how is that really possible that you're able to do all this stuff on only two houses? Because my friend that messaged me is an investor in real estate himself. He bought his first house when he was only 20. And he doesn't think it's really possible to generate that much money off of only two houses. So today's video, I'm going to talk about how that is possible. Not only how that's possible, but how I did it and how you might be able to do something similar. So traditional real estate investors make money off of property in three different main ways. Okay, the first way is through appreciation. So if somebody buys a house for, let's say, $300,000, the odds are that 300,000 is going to go up to 305, 310, 350, and so on. So that when it's time to sell that house, the person who bought it will sell it at a profit. The second way is through equity. So each month that you pay your mortgage on a home, you build equity, meaning you own a greater percentage of that property. So let's just say you put 3.5% down on a house. You only really own 3.5% of that house. The rest of it is owned by the bank. But each month that you make your payment to the bank, you own a little bit more of it. And the third way that people make money off of real estate traditionally is through cash flow. So what cash flow is basically if you take all the money that you make off the property, which is usually from rent, and then you subtract all of your expenses. So your mortgage, insurance, average cost of repair per month, all that stuff. You subtract it all, and what you have left is your cash flow. That's the amount of money coming into your bank account each month. Now, normally for most traditional real estate investors, that's going to be about 10% of what you put into it. So if all your bills for a house are, let's say, $2,000 a month, you might only get about $2,200 in rent. So if you only had two houses at $200 a month, that's only $400 a month. That's not enough to live. So I don't use that method. There is one major similarity between that method and what I do, and that's that I look for neighborhoods that are increasing in value. That way you do get that extra appreciation, but I only look at appreciation as like icing on the cake. I really don't care if the property appreciates that much. The main thing that I want out of a house is cash flow. In today's example, I'm going to talk about what kind of house you can buy if you want to be an Airbnb host. And if you want to be an Airbnb host, it's all about cash flow. Everything else is just, like I said, icing. So when I look for a house, what do I look for? So I like to use Redfin. You can use a different website, but I like Redfin. And I will search for houses that have at least 4 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. Now, I won't actually buy anything unless it has at least 5 bedrooms, but a lot of times houses have 1 or even 2 rooms that you can convert into bedrooms, so I'll set my search at 4. Then I'll schedule some tours of different houses that I'm interested in. And then once I get to each house, I'm going to apply the formula. So the formula works like this. First of all, before I even show up, I use the Redfin mortgage calculator to estimate what my mortgage is going to be. Then once I show up, I look at other expenses and what they might be. So if the HVAC is past its warranted life, I will estimate about how much time I think it has left and how much it would cost to repair it or replace it. And I just look at anything that's wrong with the house, and I look at how much I think it's probably going to cost. Then I go to each and every bedroom and I think, okay, how much money can I get off of each room? So this room over here might be $1,200, this master bedroom might be $1,500, and so on. And that's why I want as many bedrooms as possible, because each bedroom should be well over, at least a little bit over $1,000. If you think that seems high, I want you to just go online, check what nightly Airbnb prices are, and then multiply them by 30. And, you know, Airbnb does take a cut and you'll have to pay taxes, but, you know, you'll still make a substantial amount. Should be a little over $1,000 per bedroom. So I do this in multiple houses until I find one that's a winner. The winner is the one that passes the formula the best, meaning the one that's going to give me the most cash flow. Okay. So the houses that tend to pass the formula are the ones with the most bedrooms, but they also tend to be ones that have a location that is somewhere between the major airport of a major city and whatever the tourist hotspots of that city are. Now, if you buy a house that's closer to the hotspots rather than closer to the airport, it could cost 3, 4, 5 times as much money. And I'm just not going to invest that kind of money, because if I buy a house closer to the airport, it's going to be substantially cheaper. And I'm going to get almost as much money per night as I would if it were close to the hot spots. So the houses that I have that I make a full-time living off of, they were only $200,000 each. One was $220,000, one was $182,000. They were not that expensive. Okay. Now those are 2018 and 2019 prices, and this is 2021, and housing prices are way higher right now, but you know, housing prices are abnormally high right now. I think probably the best thing to do right now is to save money, make a plan, and then once the housing market turns around, that's when you pull the trigger. So, some people might not want to buy a house near the airport because of safety reasons. They might think, well, you know, when you're closer to the airport, the crime rate's a little higher, and I don't want to expose my guests to that or myself to that. Well, when you have an Airbnb house, especially a big one, you have a pretty low chance of break-in, and here's why. When you have like 6-ish bedrooms, and each one is occupied by a different party that comes and goes at different times, it's almost impossible for a burglar to find a good time to enter the house, because burglars want to enter a house when no one is home. They don't want anyone calling 911. They don't want anybody pulling a gun on them. They want the lowest risk, safest thing possible, which is, you know, a house where they know what time the family goes to work, what time they come home, and they want to break in when no one's home. So at an Airbnb house, that's pretty much impossible. Plus, you're going to have, I recommend 4K cameras. You're going to have security cameras guarding every entrance, including the garage, if you have one. And you're going to have cameras guarding every single parking spot that you have. This is going to make guests feel better. It's also going to keep your guests that are going to break your house rules more often away from your listing, because you're going to tell guests about the cameras before they book. And it's, of course, going to prevent thieves from breaking in. So I wouldn't really worry about the safety thing too much. It's really worth it to be close to the airport. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of a better idea of how I'm able to buy cheap property and make a lot of money off of it. Another little trick I do is, it's not really a trick, but I try to spend a good amount of money fixing up each room. So the living room, each bedroom, I'm going to spend over $1,000 on art and furniture per bedroom. I want them to look as nice as possible within a reasonable budget. That way I'm going to make more money per night, and I'm going to make whatever I spend on furniture back. So yeah, there's a couple tips. I'm going to have more videos later about how I'm able to do all this stuff. But for now, if you like the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this in the future, make sure you hit subscribe. Until next time, my name is Peter. Thanks for watching.